Welcome to Lotus Light Teachings, where we explore timeless wisdom to bring peace, purpose, and fulfillment to your life. Today, we're diving into a topic that touches all of us: how to find true support and happiness as we age. When we reach our later years, the things we once relied on, our careers, our social roles, even our closest relationships, may shift and evolve. But in this stage of life, what truly supports us? The answer lies within the 5 essential pillars of life: inner peace, health, financial independence, meaningful relationships, and lifelong learning. Together, let's embark on a journey of reflection, self-discovery, and empowerment. Imagine standing by a river at sunset. The water, once rushing with youthful energy, now flows calmly, reflecting the golden hues of the sky. Life, much like this river, has its moments of rapid movement and quiet stillness. As we reach the later chapters of our journey, we often find ourselves pausing, reflecting, and wondering, what truly sustains us as we age? Have you ever asked yourself what matters most now? When the career ambitions have faded, when children have grown and moved on, when our once busy lives become quieter, what remains? This is a time when we begin to seek deeper meaning, looking beyond material success and external validations to discover the foundations that bring us real, lasting fulfillment. In today's discussion, we'll explore the 5 pillars that offer genuine support in our later years. These pillars: inner peace, health, financial independence, meaningful relationships, and lifelong learning, serve as guiding lights that help us navigate the changing landscape of aging with resilience and joy. Through the lens of Zen and Buddhist teachings, we learn that aging is not a process of decline but an opportunity for transformation. Instead of fearing the changes that come with age, we can embrace them as valuable lessons that bring us closer to our true selves. Today, we'll share inspiring real-life stories, practical advice, and timeless wisdom that can help you strengthen these 5 pillars in your own life. Whether you're approaching 60, already there, or simply seeking ways to support loved ones on this journey, these insights will empower you to age with grace, confidence, and inner tranquility. So, take a deep breath, settle in, and join me as we embark on this journey together. Let's explore how we can cultivate a life filled with peace, vitality, and meaning. Point 1: that allows us to age not just gracefully, but joyfully. Pillar 1: inner peace, the foundation of a fulfilling life. Mr. Nakamura had spent decades standing at the front of a classroom, his voice guiding young minds through the intricacies of literature and philosophy. His days were filled with the chatter of students, the rustling of papers, and the steady rhythm of life governed by school bells and lesson plans. But when retirement arrived, the familiar structure dissolved into silence. The once lively home he shared with his family felt too quiet, and he often found himself staring out of the window, watching the world move on without him. The days stretched long and uncertain, filled with thoughts that wandered between nostalgia and regret. He found himself asking, "Who am I now? Without the title of a teacher, what purpose remains?" The mind, like an untamed river, flowed restlessly, carrying him through currents of doubt and longing. The sense of fulfillment he once knew seemed distant, lost in the echoes of a life that no longer existed. It was during a visit to a Zen temple, nestled within the quiet hills outside his town, that he first encountered the stillness he had been seeking. The monks, dressed in simple robes, moved with a grace that seemed untouched by the rush of time. Watching them, he felt something stir within him, a longing not for the past, but for a deeper understanding of the present. Sitting cross-legged on the worn wooden floor, he listened to the steady rhythm of a bell marking the beginning of meditation. As he closed his eyes and focused on his breath, a simple truth revealed itself: the mind is everything what you think you become. The words of the Buddha echoed in his heart, reminding him that peace was not something to be found outside but cultivated within. The wind may howl, the river may rage, but in the stillness of the heart, peace remains. At first, his thoughts raced, unfinished plans, memories of the past, anxieties about the future. But the monk's gentle guidance led him to observe without attachment. Instead of clinging to his thoughts, He learned to watch them pass, like clouds drifting across the sky. Slowly, the restless waves within him began to subside, replaced by a quiet awareness of the present moment. Through mindfulness, Mr. Nakamura realized that much of his suffering came not from external circumstances but from his resistance to change. He had spent years defining himself through his work, his achievements, and his relationships, only to find that all of it was subject to the inevitable law of impermanence, anicca. Buddhist teachings emphasize that everything in life is transient. Clinging to the past or resisting the flow of time only creates suffering. This is one of the Four Noble Truths, the understanding that suffering arises from attachment, and liberation comes from letting go. Mr. Nakamura began to embrace this wisdom, allowing himself to release the need to control what had already passed. Let go of yesterday, embrace today, for nothing stays, yet everything remains. The practice of gratitude became a cornerstone of his journey. Instead of mourning the loss of his identity as a teacher, he began to focus on the gifts that remained: his health, his family, the beauty of a sunrise, the warmth of a cup of tea. Each morning, he would take a few moments to reflect on the blessings in his life, shifting his perspective from scarcity to abundance. He found that gratitude, when practiced with sincerity, had the power to transform even the most ordinary days into moments of profound contentment. Yet, cultivating inner peace was not without its challenges. There were days when the loneliness crept in, when old doubts resurfaced, whispering that his best years were behind him. In those moments, he turned to the Buddha's Eightfold Path, particularly the practice of right effort. He reminded himself that inner peace was not a destination but a daily commitment, an intentional choice to return to the present, to breathe deeply, and to trust the unfolding of life. He found solace in mindful walking, feeling the earth beneath his feet, sensing the gentle caress of the wind on his skin. He discovered that the body, when moved with awareness, could become a gateway to stillness. Each step became a meditation, a reminder that peace is found not in grand gestures, but in the simplicity of being fully present. As time passed, Mr. Nakamura's perspective on aging shifted. He no longer saw it as a time of decline, but as an opportunity for deeper reflection and growth. He understood that life's true purpose was not tied to accomplishments or roles, but to the capacity to live each moment with mindfulness and compassion. Age is not a burden, but a gift, a chance to slow down and truly see. Inspired by this realization, he began sharing his newfound wisdom with others. He started teaching mindfulness classes at a local community center, guiding others through the same journey of self-discovery he had embarked on. He saw in their eyes the same restlessness, the same yearning for meaning, and he offered them the gentle reassurance that peace is always within reach. His relationships also deepened as he learned the art of deep listening. No longer preoccupied with his own thoughts, he could truly be present with his loved ones, offering them the gift of his undivided attention. He discovered that meaningful connection did not require words, but rather a quiet presence, a willingness to truly see and hear another without judgment. Through his journey, Mr. Nakamura came to understand that true peace is not the absence of difficulties, but the ability to remain steady amidst life's changes. The breath became his anchor, the present moment his refuge, and compassion his guiding light. In the stillness of breath, in the whisper of the wind, peace waits, patient and kind. For those who find themselves struggling with change, uncertainty, or the weight of the past, Mr. Nakamura's story serves as a gentle reminder. Inner peace is not something we seek outside of ourselves, but something we cultivate within. It requires patience, practice, and above all, the willingness to let go. There is a lesson for us all in his journey. No matter where we are in life, we have the power to turn inward, to find stillness in the chaos, and to embrace each day with an open heart. The path to peace begins with a single breath, a single moment of awareness. As you sit with these reflections, consider: what attachments are preventing you from experiencing peace? How can you practice gratitude in your daily life? In what small ways can you cultivate stillness amidst your busy routine? May you find comfort in the knowledge that inner peace is always available, waiting patiently for you to return to it. And in doing so, may you discover the quiet joy that comes from simply being fully present, fully alive. Pillar 2, health and vitality, caring for the body as a sacred temple. Maria had always been the cornerstone of her family, the one who put everyone else's needs before her own. For decades, she woke up early to prepare meals, tend to household chores, and take care of her children and grandchildren. She found joy in their laughter, their growth, and their success. But amidst all the bustling activity, she had forgotten one important thing to herself. One autumn afternoon, as she was folding laundry, Maria suddenly felt a sharp pain in her chest. It was brief but enough to leave her breathless and shaken. Sitting down, she realized how exhausted she felt, how heavy her body had become. She had spent so much time taking care of others that she had neglected the temple that housed her own spirit, her body. It was a wake-up call, a gentle but firm reminder from life that it was time to turn inward, to nurture herself the way she had nurtured those she loved. The Buddha once said, "To keep the body in good health is a duty, otherwise, we shall not be able to keep our mind strong and clear." This teaching resonated deeply with Maria as she embarked on her journey of self-care and healing. Health, she realized, was not simply the absence of illness but a harmonious balance between body and mind, between nourishment and movement, between rest and activity. The body is a garden. What you plant, it will grow. Tend it with kindness, and it will bloom with vitality. Maria started by reflecting on her diet. Over the years, she had grown accustomed to hurried meals, snacking while standing in the kitchen, skipping breakfast, and often eating processed foods that were convenient but lacked nourishment. Inspired by the Buddhist practice of mindful eating, she decided to approach food with greater awareness. Instead of rushing through meals, she began to sit down, savoring each bite, noticing the flavors and textures, and truly appreciating the effort that went into preparing each dish. She started incorporating more whole, plant-based foods into her diet. Fresh vegetables, whole grains, and natural sources of protein. Each meal became an opportunity to nourish not just her body, but her mind as well. She found herself feeling lighter, more energized, and more present. The food we eat becomes the energy we carry, she thought. If I want a calm mind, I must nourish my body with care. Maria also discovered the joy of gentle movement. Her days of running around the house were replaced with a newfound appreciation for yoga and Tai Chi. She remembered hearing about how these ancient practices aligned perfectly with Buddhist principles, encouraging balance, presence, and inner harmony. At first, the slow, deliberate movements felt unfamiliar, but over time, they became a form of moving meditation. She found solace in the flow of each breath, in the grounding sensation of her feet touching the earth. Through movement, she learned patience with herself, understanding that strength and flexibility were not built overnight but cultivated with time and intention. Just as the Buddha taught the middle path, neither indulgence nor deprivation, Maria realized that true wellness required moderation, a gentle and compassionate approach to her own physical being. One morning, as she was practicing yoga in her garden, she felt the warmth of the sun on her skin and smiled. For so long, she had taken her body for granted, pushing it beyond its limits, ignoring its quiet cries for rest. But now she treated it with respect, with the reverence it deserved. Her body, she realized, was not separate from her mind. It was a reflection of her inner state. Listen to your body's whispers before it must shout. Treat it with tenderness before it wears out. Sleep had also been an afterthought in Maria's life. Late nights of worry, early mornings of responsibility left little room for true rest. But she learned that sleep was not a luxury. It was a necessity. She began establishing a gentle evening routine, inspired by Buddhist mindfulness. She turned off her devices an hour before bed, lit a candle, and spent a few moments in silent reflection or reading something soothing. She created a peaceful sleep environment, free from distractions, and allowed herself to rest without guilt. Slowly, she discovered that a well-rested mind brought clarity, patience, and emotional resilience, things she needed not only for herself but for her family as well. Each night is a small rebirth, she whispered to herself. A chance to restore and renew. Beyond the practical aspects of health, Maria realized that true vitality also came from an inner sense of balance and contentment. Buddhist teachings on impermanence reminded her that health is not something to be taken for granted. It changes, ebbs, and flows with time. Rather than fearing aging or illness, she embraced the present moment, making choices that honored her body today, without worrying excessively about tomorrow. She also found comfort in the understanding of karma, the idea that her actions, however small, had consequences. Each step she took toward wellness was an investment in her future self. The choice to drink water instead of soda, to take a walk instead of sitting for hours, to practice deep breathing instead of holding on to stress, all of it contributed to the unfolding of a healthier, more vibrant life. As Maria's health improved, so did her outlook on life. She no longer viewed self-care as selfish but as an act of love, not only for herself but for those around her. She had more energy to spend time with her grandchildren, more patience in her conversations, and a newfound appreciation for the beauty of everyday life. Taking care of yourself is the first gift to others. A healthy heart brings warmth to all. For anyone struggling to prioritize their health, Maria's journey serves as a gentle reminder that it is never too late to begin. The path to wellness is not about perfection but about progress, about making small, mindful choices each day that lead to greater vitality and joy. She encourages others to start with simple, attainable steps. Eat mindfully. Pay attention to your meals, chew slowly, and appreciate the nourishment they provide. Move daily. Whether it's a walk, stretching, or light exercises, find joy in movement. Rest intentionally. Prioritize sleep and create routines that signal relaxation. Hydrate. Drink water consistently to support your body's functions. Listen to your body. Honor its signals and respond with kindness. Maria's story is a testament to the wisdom found in Buddhist teachings, that health is not just about the physical, but about the integration of mind, body, and spirit. It is about cultivating awareness, practicing moderation, and approaching self-care with loving kindness. As the seasons change, so too does our body. But by nurturing it with mindful care, we can flow through life with greater ease and grace. What small step can you take today to honor the temple of your body? How can you nurture yourself so that you may better nurture others? These are the questions that Maria now carries with her every day, knowing that each choice is an opportunity to cultivate a life of balance, energy, and peace. Her journey continues, one mindful breath, one nourishing meal, one gentle movement at a time, and perhaps yours can too. Pillar 3, financial independence, the key to freedom and security. David had always been a man of careful planning. Throughout his career as an engineer, he meticulously calculated risks, optimized resources, and ensured that every project he handled was built on a strong foundation. Yet, as he approached retirement, he found himself standing at the edge of a new kind of uncertainty, one that no blueprint could fully prepare him for. The years stretched ahead like an uncharted road, and though he had planned carefully, he couldn't shake the feeling of vulnerability. He often recalled the words his grandfather once told him, "Wealth is like water in your hands, hold too tightly, and it slips away. Hold too loosely, and it vanishes." This wisdom had stayed with him throughout his life, guiding his approach to financial independence. For David, money was not a measure of success or self-worth. It was a tool, a means to create security and freedom, not attachment. Wealth, like the passing clouds, should never bind the heart. With wisdom, let it flow, and peace will play its part. His journey toward financial independence was built on 3 guiding principles: simplicity, preparation, and sharing wisdom. He believed that true wealth lay not in accumulating more but in knowing when enough was enough. Over the years, he consciously chose to live within his means, resisting the temptation of fleeting luxuries in favor of lasting security. David's mornings often began with a quiet moment in his garden, sipping tea and reflecting on the choices he had made. He found deep contentment in the simplicity of life, walking through nature, enjoying the laughter of his grandchildren, and embracing the present moment without the weight of financial worries. The Buddha's teachings on right livelihood, one of the Eightfold Path's core principles, resonated with him. Earning an honest living, using resources wisely, and sharing with those in need. This was the true path to financial freedom. But it hadn't always been this way. There were times when he, too, had been caught up in the endless pursuit of more. The drive to earn, to achieve, to accumulate often led to sleepless nights and restless thoughts. However, the realization came to him slowly. Material wealth, no matter how great, could never fill the emptiness left by a life lacking purpose and inner peace. And so, he began to shift his focus not just on how much he had, but how well he could use it to live meaningfully. David learned that financial independence wasn't about having endless riches but about knowing how to live simply and with intention. He embraced the Buddhist concept of moderation. The middle way. Rather than indulging in excess or depriving himself unnecessarily, he struck a balance, ensuring his needs were met while avoiding the distractions of materialism. He often reminded himself, happiness is not found in what we own, but in the freedom to enjoy what we already have. This perspective helped him resist the consumerist culture that constantly whispered, more is better. Instead, he invested in experiences that brought lasting joy, spending time with loved ones, learning new skills, and contributing to his community. A simple life, a tranquil heart, the wealth of peace within. To find contentment in enough is where true joy begins. David's budget was not rigid, but mindful. He focused on what truly mattered. His health, his relationships, and his spiritual well-being. Every expense was a reflection of his values, and this conscious approach to spending brought him a deep sense of control and freedom. Despite his financial prudence, David understood the impermanence of life. The Buddha's teachings on anicca, the law of impermanence, taught him that change is inevitable and financial stability requires preparation for life's uncertainties. He believed in planning not out of fear, but as an act of wisdom and self-care. David set aside emergency funds, ensuring that unexpected medical expenses, economic downturns, or unforeseen challenges would not shake his foundation. He viewed this preparation not as a burden but as an act of compassion for his future self and his loved ones. He often reflected on how many people he knew who had neglected this aspect, living paycheck to paycheck, hoping that tomorrow would take care of itself. But the Buddha's teachings on right effort reminded him that wise actions taken today could bring peace in the future. Questions to ponder: are we prepared for the uncertainties of life, or are we avoiding them out of fear? How can we create financial security without being consumed by worry? What small steps can we take today to ensure a peaceful tomorrow? As David grew older, he found immense fulfillment in sharing his financial wisdom with younger generations. He understood that financial literacy was not just about numbers. It was about cultivating a healthy relationship with money. Teaching his grandchildren how to save, invest, and spend wisely brought him joy, knowing he was empowering them to make thoughtful choices in the future. He also believed in the principle of dana, the Buddhist practice of generosity. To him, wealth was not meant to be hoarded but to be shared in meaningful ways. He supported charitable causes, helped friends in need, and found that giving brought a profound sense of connection and fulfillment. One day, while speaking to a group of young professionals, David shared his insights. Money is like a river. It must flow. If we block it with attachment, it stagnates. But if we guide it with wisdom, it nourishes everything it touches. His message was clear. True financial independence comes not from having more, but from knowing how to use what we have wisely, with generosity and gratitude. As he continued his journey, David realized that some of the best investments were not financial at all. Investing in health, relationships, and personal growth provided returns far greater than any stock market. He prioritized his well-being, choosing nutritious foods, staying physically active, and nurturing his mind through lifelong learning. He often reminded himself that wealth could not buy health, nor could it buy true happiness. And so, he approached life with a sense of balance. Working towards stability while remaining unattached to the outcome. Wealth fades, health wanes, but wisdom forever stays. Invest in what the heart can hold, and joy will light your days. Looking back, David found comfort in knowing that his efforts had created a life of stability and contentment. He was not burdened by regret or fear, but filled with a quiet confidence in the choices he had made. He realized that financial independence was not about freedom from responsibility, but freedom to live with intention, generosity, and peace. And so, each morning, as he sipped his tea and watched the world wake up around him, he felt grateful not just for the wealth he had accumulated, but for the wisdom that had shaped his journey. How can you cultivate a mindset of financial simplicity in your own life? What steps can you take to prepare for life's uncertainties with wisdom and mindfulness? In what ways can you use your financial resources to bring joy and support to others? As you walk your own journey toward financial independence, remember, true wealth is not measured by what you have, but by the freedom, wisdom, and peace you cultivate along the way. Pillar 4, meaningful relationships, the cornerstone of emotional well-being. After moving to a new city post-retirement, Amina found herself in an unfamiliar world. The once bustling routine of her career, filled with colleagues and daily interactions, had been replaced with quiet, unstructured days. The absence of familiar faces, the lack of spontaneous conversations, and the silence in her home felt overwhelming. Loneliness settled in like an unwelcome guest, casting a shadow over her once vibrant spirit. There were moments when she would sit by the window, watching people pass by, their laughter and conversations floating through the air like distant echoes of the life she once knew. She often wondered, how does one rebuild a life of connection when the familiar has faded away? In Buddhist teachings, relationships are likened to a garden. Some connections bloom with vibrant beauty, offering shade and companionship, while others wither over time, teaching us the impermanence of life. Amina realized that just as a garden requires care, patience, and discernment, so too do relationships. She understood that she needed to cultivate new connections, to plant seeds of meaningful companionship in this new chapter of her life. A seed of kindness, watered with presence, will one day bloom into a lasting bond. Rather than withdrawing into solitude, Amina made the conscious decision to step outside her comfort zone. She sought out communities that aligned with her values. Meditation circles, book clubs, and volunteering opportunities where she could contribute her time and wisdom. With each new interaction, she discovered a simple yet profound truth. Meaningful relationships are not about the number of people in our lives, but the depth of connection we share with them. She met kindred spirits in unexpected places: an elderly woman at the local park who shared her love for poetry, a young volunteer at the shelter who reminded her of her younger self, and a meditation teacher whose presence radiated quiet wisdom. Through these encounters, Amina learned the importance of quality over quantity. She no longer sought to fill her days with superficial interactions, but instead focused on fostering deeper, more meaningful bonds. Listening with the heart. One of the most valuable lessons Amina learned was the art of active listening. Too often, we engage in conversations merely waiting for our turn to speak, but true connection comes from listening with an open heart, without judgment, without distraction, and with genuine presence. She recalled a Buddhist parable about a monk who once asked his teacher, "How can I cultivate deeper relationships?" The teacher simply poured tea into the monk's cup until it overflowed and said, "Your mind is like this cup filled with your own thoughts. Until you empty it, you cannot truly receive another." Inspired by this wisdom, Amina began practicing mindful listening in her interactions. She put aside her own thoughts and truly absorbed the stories, emotions, and experiences of others. She found that when she listened deeply, without interruption or expectation, relationships flourished naturally. Listen, not with ears alone, but with your whole being. In silence, understanding grows. As Amina continued to nurture her social connections, she encountered a challenge familiar to many: holding on to relationships that no longer served her well-being. Some friendships, she realized, were rooted in the past, weighed down by unresolved tensions and expectations. The Buddhist teaching of impermanence reminded her that just as the seasons change, so do relationships. Letting go with compassion. Letting go of toxic or stagnant relationships was not an easy process. She carried with her the memories of shared moments, the fear of loneliness, and the guilt of moving on. But over time, She understood that clinging to relationships that no longer nurtured her growth only deepened her suffering. One day, while reading a Buddhist scripture, she came across the concept of equanimity, the ability to hold space for others without attachment or aversion. She realized that true love, whether for friends or family, meant allowing space for change and understanding when to walk away with compassion. Instead of harboring resentment or sadness, Amina chose to practice forgiveness, both for herself and for those she needed to release. In doing so, she found a newfound lightness in her heart. Let go not with anger, but with gratitude for the lessons. Each goodbye is a whisper of new beginnings. As she embraced this perspective, Amina found herself drawn to new relationships that resonated with her evolving values. She learned that relationships should uplift, inspire, and encourage growth, not drain or diminish one's spirit. She also realized the importance of being present in her relationships. In the modern world, distractions often pull us away from the people in front of us: phones, social media, and endless thoughts that cloud our ability to connect deeply. Amina made it a practice to put away distractions during conversations, offering her full presence to those she loved. In return, she noticed a profound shift that relationships became richer, more meaningful, and filled with genuine warmth. The power of community. Joining spiritual and social communities provided Amina with a sense of belonging and purpose. Whether it was participating in group meditation, engaging in service work, or simply sharing meals with others, she found joy in being part of something greater than herself. The Buddha emphasized the importance of Sangha, the spiritual community, as a source of support and encouragement on the path of self-discovery. Being surrounded by like-minded individuals helped Amina stay grounded, inspired, and reminded her that she was not alone in her journey. In the company of kindred souls, loneliness fades, and hearts grow light with shared joy. She realized that meaningful relationships are not built overnight. They require patience, presence, and the willingness to be vulnerable. She approached each new connection with an open heart, embracing the idea that every person she met had something to teach her. Whether it was a lesson in compassion, patience, or understanding, a new perspective on love and connection. Through her journey, Amina began to view relationships not as a means to fill a void, but as an opportunity to give and receive love in its truest form. She no longer feared solitude because she understood that relationships were not about quantity but about the quality of the love and kindness shared. She often reflected on the Buddhist teaching of metta, loving kindness. By cultivating love within herself, she found it easier to extend genuine kindness to others. She realized that true connection starts from within, and when one radiates inner peace, meaningful relationships naturally follow. A heart that loves itself knows how to love the world, nurture the self, and connection will blossom. As Amina's days became filled with laughter, deep conversations, and moments of shared silence, she felt a sense of wholeness that she had once thought was lost. And so, with each sunrise, she continued to nurture her relationships with others and with herself, knowing that the key to emotional well-being lay in the balance between connection and solitude, between giving and receiving, and above all, in embracing each moment with presence and gratitude. Reflection for your own journey. Are your relationships nourishing your growth, or are they holding you back? How can you cultivate deeper, more meaningful connections in your life? In what ways can you practice mindful listening and presence with those around you? Meaningful relationships are a cornerstone of a fulfilling life. They bring joy, resilience, and purpose, reminding us that we are all interconnected in this vast web of existence. In nurturing relationships with love, patience, and authenticity, we create a life that is rich, not in possessions, but in the warmth of human connection. Pillar 5. Lifelong learning and purpose, staying engaged with life. Mr. Chun spent most of his life as an architect, meticulously designing spaces that would stand the test of time. He was a man who thrived on structure, precision, and the satisfaction of seeing his creations come to life. But after retirement, he found himself facing an unexpected emptiness. Without the daily challenges of his career, without the purpose that had once defined him, he felt adrift in a vast, unfamiliar ocean of time. The days stretched long and quiet, and he often wondered, what now? There is a moment in everyone's life when the roles that once gave us identity begin to fade. The titles, the responsibilities, the expectations, like leaves falling from a tree, they drift away, leaving us bare, exposed to the reality of our own impermanence. Mr. Chun found himself at this crossroads, uncertain of how to fill the void left by the passing of his professional life. One afternoon, as he sat in his study surrounded by old blueprints and awards that now seemed like relics of another life, his eyes fell on a set of watercolor paints his granddaughter had left behind. The colors, vibrant and untouched, called to him in a way he did not expect. Tentatively, he picked up a brush, dipped it in paint, and made his first stroke. It was clumsy, uncertain, but it awakened something within him. In Buddhism, there is a teaching that resonates deeply in such moments of transition. The law of impermanence, anicca. Everything in life is in a constant state of flux, and clinging to the past only brings suffering. Mr. Chun realized that instead of mourning what was lost, he could embrace what was still possible. His hands, though no longer drafting blueprints, could still create. His mind, though retired from architectural design, could still imagine and explore. The river flows, never asking where it has been, but only where it may go. With each brushstroke, he discovered that learning was not something bound by age or occupation. It was a journey of endless curiosity and opportunity to explore, to express, and to grow. He remembered a Buddhist parable about a wise old monk and a cup of tea. A young disciple once came to the monk, eager to show how much he already knew. The monk poured tea into his cup, but instead of stopping, he continued until the cup overflowed. "You are like this cup," the monk said. "You are full of your own knowledge, leaving no room for anything new. Empty your cup, and you will be able to learn again." This story struck a chord within Mr. Chun. He realized that retirement was not an end, but an invitation to empty his cup, to rediscover himself in new and unexpected ways. With an open heart, he allowed himself to be a beginner once more, embracing the process without the pressure of perfection. Curiosity became his compass. He explored painting techniques, experimented with different styles, and found joy in the simple act of creation. In the quiet hours of the afternoon, his brush danced across the canvas, and for the first time in a long while, he felt a sense of excitement and wonder, reminders that passion is not bound by time. As he immersed himself in this new pursuit, Mr. Chun began to realize something even deeper. Learning was not just for personal fulfillment. It was also a way to connect with others. His paintings, once private expressions of self-discovery, soon became a bridge to the world around him. He started sharing his work with friends and family, and before he knew it, he was teaching a small art class at the local community center. In Buddhism, the concept of dana, or selfless giving, teaches that true joy comes from sharing what we have. Mr. Chun found profound fulfillment in guiding others, helping them overcome their own fears of trying something new. He saw how the simple act of painting brought them peace, how it encouraged them to see the world with fresh eyes. In giving back, he found a renewed sense of purpose, an affirmation that his years of experience and wisdom were not lost but simply transformed into a new way of contributing to the world. To teach is to plant seeds, not for today, but for generations to come. Through his journey, Mr. Chun also learned the value of embracing change with grace. Growing older, he realized, did not mean becoming irrelevant. It meant evolving, adapting, and finding new ways to engage with life. There was beauty in reinvention, in allowing oneself to let go of outdated identities and welcome new possibilities. In the Dhammapada, the Buddha teaches, "Your work is to discover your world and then with all your heart give yourself to it." Mr. Chun understood that purpose is not a fixed destination. It is something that we create, moment by moment, through our passions, our contributions, and our willingness to keep learning. He began incorporating mindfulness into his daily routine, painting not just with his hands, but with his whole being, fully immersed in the present moment. The vibrant colors on the canvas mirrored the richness of life itself, and he found that in each brushstroke, there was an opportunity to practice patience, awareness, and gratitude. Each moment, a brushstroke of time, creating the masterpiece of our days. Mr. Chen's story reminds us that lifelong learning is not about chasing after new achievements. It is about staying open, engaged, and connected to the world around us. Whether it's through art, music, writing, or simply exploring new ideas, the pursuit of knowledge and self-discovery has no age limit. For those who feel uncertain about where they are in life, or who fear the unknown that comes with change, his journey offers a gentle reminder. It is never too late to rediscover passion, to embrace new challenges, and to find deeper meaning in the simplest of pursuits. In modern life, we often become so fixated on external success that we forget the importance of inner growth. The Buddhist path, with its emphasis on right effort and right mindfulness, encourages us to cultivate habits that nourish both the mind and spirit. When we dedicate ourselves to continuous learning, whether through reading, creating, or engaging with others, we nurture a sense of purpose that sustains us through all of life's changes. Mr. Chen found that his greatest joy came not from the recognition of his work, but from the journey itself. From the quiet moments of inspiration, the satisfaction of learning something new, and the joy of sharing his knowledge with others. His advice to those seeking to stay engaged with life is simple yet profound. Explore with curiosity, without the fear of failure. Give back, for true fulfillment lies in sharing what we have. Embrace change, knowing that every ending carries the seed of a new beginning. The canvas of life is ever-changing. Paint it with curiosity, and it will never be empty. Each of us carries within us the potential for lifelong learning and reinvention. Whether through creative pursuits, meaningful connections, or quiet moments of reflection, we have the power to shape our lives with intention and purpose. Mr. Chen's journey is a testament to the beauty of staying engaged with life, of embracing each day as an opportunity to grow, to give, and to find joy in the unfolding of our own stories. And in doing so, we discover that age is not a barrier to passion. It is a gateway to deeper wisdom, creativity, and fulfillment. As we come to the end of this reflection, take a moment to pause and consider, which of these 5 pillars feels strongest in your life, and which might need a little more attention and care. The journey of aging is not about holding onto the past, nor is it about fearing the future. It is about embracing this moment with openness and gratitude. Each day offers an opportunity to nurture our inner peace, to care for our health, to plan wisely for our financial security, to cherish meaningful relationships, and to continue learning and growing. Remember, true support doesn't come solely from external sources. It begins within. When we cultivate these 5 pillars, we create a foundation that can carry us through life's uncertainties with strength and grace. Just like the river that adapts to its course, we too can flow through life's changes with resilience and a sense of purpose. Now, I'd like to leave you with a question to ponder. What steps can you take today to strengthen one of these pillars in your life? Whether it's practicing mindfulness, reaching out to a loved one, or simply appreciating the present moment, every small step counts. If this message resonated with you, I invite you to like, comment, and share this video with others who might benefit from these reflections. Together, we can create a community of wisdom, support, and inspiration. Thank you for being here with us at Lotus Light Teachings. May you continue your journey with a heart full of peace and a life rich with purpose. Until next time, take care and embrace each moment with joy and serenity. If you found this discussion valuable, please subscribe to our channel for more content that inspires and uplifts. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear about your experiences and how you're applying these teachings in your own life. Let's continue growing and learning together.